the second edition, which is the one we read, has 20 chapters. But there's also a first edition. There are chapters 1 through 12, and we thought that this really spoke to us a little bit more in terms of, our connections with the ideas of this book. And so, just by looking at these titles, you can tell that they're really, the author was really passionate about education, just by the different things he talks about. Here is the author himself, Patrick Dixon. What I got here is pretty much all we could find. We had tried to Google this guy, and there is very limited amount of information on him. So, obviously he's a professor of education at the University of Buffalo in New York. And he has written, in addition to this Literacy with Attitude, he's written other books, which I wouldn't mind picking up because this book is really, really good. This wiki was also, created to stay in touch with our group members. So I put the attendees, if anybody was new, you could add them, the time, date, location, the weekly agenda, which consisted of interesting words, illustrations, connections, passage readings, and then we discussed our burning questions.
Oh, good job.
And then if anybody was absent, they could obviously go there and see what we read for the week and look at it. So getting a little more
nice way to use the wiki.
All about is what you just did the activity over, basically. So I'm going to send it over to Jen. If you were in Jen's school, she's going to explain a little bit about what you were doing.
Okay, so I had the working class school, which was you guys, and let me just working class. And let me just apologize up front because I know that I was very short and very, to the point with you guys.
Yes,
I was. And I was like that for a specific reason because that's the way the book describes the working class students and how the teachers behave towards those students. So basically, in the book, Jean Annan did a study on 5th grade classes in 5 public schools in New Jersey. And so some of the aspects that she found with the working class school was that knowledge was presented like in very fragmented facts. And students were never really told, why are we learning this? And at one point, Mr. Martin actually asked me, why are we doing this? And my response was like, don't worry about it. You just do what you're told. Do what you're told. Yeah, I'm so sorry. But yeah, but I did that for that reason, to display, like, that's the way the teaching situation is in those kinds of working class schools. So those students in those schools are never given that background information. The knowledge is never, connected to their personal lives or, real life experiences. And also in the working class schools, the work that they do, it's very much just follow the procedure. Not so much, is what I'm doing right or wrong. It's just do what you're told. This is the steps that we're doing, and this is how you're supposed to do it. So when I did my lesson with them, it was basically just, here's what I want you to write, and I'm just lecturing. I'm just telling them exactly what I want you to write. We're not going into any kind of discussion on, how are all of these different parts of the cell connected. It's just the word and the definition. The word and the definition. That's all it was. There was no connection there. There was no why are we learning this? Why do I care? And something else about the working class school is that there's this effort by the teachers to kind of control the movement of their students. Like, they don't want their students to be up and going around. Like, the whole idea is we want them to sit still, listen, and be obedient. And I mean, we all know, like, that's not how it is. Yes?
Just out of curiosity about working class, are you talking about like in the background of where the kids come from?
Yes.
So like what their parents are working?
So in the study, most of the parents of the working class students were, either blue collar type workers where either they were skilled or they were semi-skilled or their parents were unemployed was the type of schooling that those children came from. And what was interesting too about the working class students, it wasn't, even though they were being taught at a very low level, those students weren't low level. All of them were either average or above average IQ, but yet they were being treated as though, they were special needs, or that they didn't have the cognitive ability to be able to do higher level thinking. And because the way, I experienced that with you guys, you were all kind of talking and chatting and, not really paying attention, but I understood why you guys are doing that, because there's no, why am I doing this? And my response to you was don't worry about it, just do what you're told. So I understand why your reaction to my teaching situation was the way that it was. So there's that very much this want to control their students, that students need to just sit, be quiet, and be obedient. And there was also, for all of the different classes, Jean Annan kind of found that there was this dominant trait, this dominant theme in each one. And for the working class, it was resistance. So she found that these students in the working class were much more likely to engage in school vandalism and to just show a general apathy for learning. And just the last thing that I want to say about the working class that I thought was actually kind of sad was at the end of this study, she gathered these fifth graders together and asked them, what do you think of when I say the word knowledge? And surprisingly, only one student out of that whole group said the word think. No one else said anything that had anything to do with knowledge. And then when she asked them, if they, do you think you can make knowledge? Only one student said yes, and you can make knowledge. All the rest of them were no. So they don't have that thinking behind them, that they have the power to learn or to grow in their education. So that was kind of sad. Yes?
Would you consider Hayes High School working class or above?
Well, hold on. Let's hold. That's a really good question, and that definitely transitions into other parts of the activity. Real quick, working class group. Would you share with the rest of the class what your note-taking experience was like and your test-taking experience?
Very hostile.
Yeah. What did your teacher do?
She gave us a word, and then she gave us a definition. That was it.
Dictated to you.
Very brief. We didn't talk about it.
Okay, and what about your testing situation? Was it lax and comfortable, or how was your test?
What? I felt like I was in trouble the whole time.
Yeah.
Did you have dividers up?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't cheat, right? Because we can't trust these working class kids. So that's the general thought going along with the working class. So the next class in school was Sunday school.
Okay. The middle class. So my school was over the middle class, and the book discussed a lot about it. So a brief summary of what the middle class is basically students working to get the answers correct. So when I say correct, I mean just the answers that's in the back of the book. So if you have a list of review questions, only answers that's correct are the answers in the back of the book. A lot of times the teachers that are middle class teachers, they've grown up in the neighborhood their whole life. They know most of the students' parents. They might go to church with you or something like that. But these teachers could be caring, but they lack motivation in challenging students academically. So their purpose of school is a make-believe school, basically. You make good grades, you get into college, and you get a good job. That's the whole purpose of middle class working. One of the things I did with my group was going over the directions with them, making sure you follow the directions the whole time. Middle class thinking doesn't involve you to critically think about anything. It's more of figuring things out, maybe a little decision making, and certainly answer choices that are correct. A lot of time with middle class,